Hi everybody, my name is Brady and we are back with another React video, and today we're going to be doing more Hamilton. I've been putting this song off for a little while, building suspense. I couldn't give you exactly what you wanted right off the bat because I need to keep you guys around a little longer. I know a lot of you are going to dip as soon as Hamilton's over, and I'm just trying to enjoy this while we have it. But today we're going to be doing Satisfied, and I'm very excited about this one. It's one of my favorite songs. I know I've said that before. I think it's almost definitely my favorite song with a female singer at the forefront. I think I can say that honestly. I can't think of another example, but I really love this song. It also takes a lot of liberties historically. It plays with the timeline a little bit. It takes a very specific interpretation of Alexander and Angelica's relationship, which I think it's fine. I think it's okay to do that because you're trying to bring these characters to life in this more fictional form. You gotta really build their personalities. So I get that, and I'm excited. This one, I don't know if I've been this excited for one in a while. Not since the room where it happened. Let's do it. Let's get started.
Talking about. Now, everyone, give it up for the maid of honor, Angelica Schuyler.
I toast to the groom,
To the groom, to the groom, to the groom,
to the bride, to the bride,
to the bride.
my sister.
Angelica,
It's always by your side.
Can I just say, shout out to Szin for doing these. I don't want to have Disney content on my channel, so I can't put the original music on here, or the original musical video on here. I don't want to mess with that. I feel like that sort of content would only last for a little while until there's another copyright crackdown. Doing this has given me confidence that these videos are going to last a while, so thank you, Szin, for everything you do. This has been such a fun series, and I've been banking heavily on your stuff. There's not much to say historically about this here. Angelica has always been very supportive in real life to Eliza. She's going to be by her side in the end when Alexander's gone. Even when there's rifts in their family, those two will always get along. So, not much to do yet. I think we're gonna have to get through this little intro portion before we're gonna have a lot to say.
Your union and the hope that you provide. Always be satisfied.
You got all of Hamilton's soldier friends there, which is good because he doesn't really have a family. So overall this is going to be a very military heavy room you're in, because you have Alexander, who all of his people are either people he met in school or people in the military, and some of those will probably cross over, people he knew from school and the military. That's definitely going to be a thing. And then on Philip Schuyler's side of the family, he's a general, so this room's going to be full of soldiers. I don't think I needed to point that out, but I think it works very well, since all of Hamilton's friends that are in the musical are supposed to be in the military with him, so there we go. Epic. So let's get some of the timeline stuff out of the way here. So Angelica was married before Eliza, and she was married probably by the time Eliza and Alexander knew each other. So that's a big thing. She was married to a guy who went by John Carter. It was a fake name that he took on when he came to America to escape some of his debts. But his real name was John Church. So she'll be, at this point, she is Angelica Carter, but she will take on the name Angelica Church later on. So she's not even Angelica Schuyler at this point. So she is taken at this point, and she's taken at the point where she, in musical canon, pretty much gives Hamilton to Eliza. So that's kind of a big point here.
I have never been the same. Intelligent eyes in a hunger-pang frame. And when you said hi, I forgot my dang name. You set my heart aflame, every part aflame. This is not a game.
This is probably something I should point out, though. I did say that she's kind of off the market, essentially. But that doesn't mean they can't have feelings for each other. That seems like the obvious thing, but some people will look at things like that and be like, okay, this couldn't have been because she was taken or whatever. No, of course you can still have feelings for somebody even though you're taken, especially if your relationship is as complicated as hers and John Church was, because she runs off with him, they elope, they get married. Daddy's not too happy about that, and she's going to find out that his financial situation is not all that great. And it's going to get better, but at that time, they're probably dealing with a lot of stuff. So there's absolutely the possibility that her eyes wander a little bit. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility here. So her crush on Alexander, whether it's mutual, whether it's like serious, whether it's playful, whatever you really want to read into their conversations, it feels very real in some capacity. Let me go back 5 seconds.
You set my heart aflame, every part aflame. This is not a game.
You strike me as a woman who has never been satisfied.
I'm sure I don't know what you mean. You forget yourself.
I love that face there, because this is like the equivalent of Alexander being like, "You're a virgin, aren't you? I can tell," which is very creepy. If you said that to somebody at a party, then they would probably look at you kind of like that. That is not what he means, but that seems to be what the misunderstanding between the two is, because he's like, you've never been satisfied. There's definitely kind of a wink and a nod there. And it's kind of gross when you think about it the other way.
Satisfied.
I'm sure I don't know what you mean. You forget yourself.
You're like me. I'm never satisfied.
Is that right?
I've never been satisfied.
You've been satisfied. Don't lie to me, Hamilton. That is one of those things. Like, I don't have proof that he wasn't a virgin when he was married, but I highly doubt it. He was chasing after ladies constantly. And I had the conversation, I believe, during the Helpless video, where Alexander is chasing after a few different girls before he falls for Eliza. And I said he either seems to lose interest, or maybe he's confirmed that this isn't happening, so he moves on, whatever it happens to be. One of the possibilities is he got what he wanted already. That's one of the more cynical ways of looking at it, but sometimes that's the thing. It's his body count went up, for lack of any good term for it, and then he just moves on. And like I said, a very cynical way of looking at it. I think Alexander was a deeply emotional dude, but I also think he was a bit of a bro. You read some of his letters and how he talks about ladies and stuff. He could be a bit of a Chad sometimes. So I wouldn't be surprised about that either if you told me, like, he has sex with a girl and then he moves on. And then he finally found a girl in Eliza that he's like, okay, this is a marryable girl. I think this is a good opportunity here.
My name is Angelica Schuyler.
Liar. Your name is Angelica Carter, and it will be Angelica Church. Just saying.
Alexander Hamilton.
Where's your family from?
Unimportant, there's a million things I haven't done. Just you wait, just you wait.
So this is I had this conversation in one of the previous videos as well, but we'll go into it again, of course. Alexander was open about his family situation with Philip Schuyler, definitely, and Eliza. I am certain that they understood his situation completely. I don't know when Angelica would be let in on that. I'd assume she is also kind of on the same page here. I think the immediate family stuff, I think they're all going to kind of understand Alexander's situation. Maybe not on the wedding night, but I think if not here, soon after, Angelica would understand Alexander's situation growing up. I think by the time you she's probably talking to Eliza and stuff about it. I'm sure there's a little bit of transparency here, but there's a lot of lost letters, especially on Eliza's side. So I'm not sure. Maybe there's something out there. I've just not seen it.
So this is what it feels like to match wits with someone at your level. What the hell is the catch? It's the feeling of freedom of seeing the light. It's Ben Franklin with the key and a kite. You see it, right?
I like that.
The conversation lasted 2 minutes, maybe.
Lightning. Gotcha. Let me go back just. Yeah, she clicks with him so easily, and I think Angelica is the type of person that Hamilton would want to correspond with because she is witty, she's intelligent, she's a very good writer compared to her sister. But then there's Eliza, who is kind of a more ideal wife for him. He wanted somebody who was a little bit more submissive. Or perhaps he liked both things, and he just ended up landing on one. Eliza was down for more or less anything Hamilton did. I say Hamilton, but she will be Hamilton as well. Anything Alexander did, and minimal resistance along the way. Angelica, I'm sure she could have been a little bit more catty, and I don't know how well that would have gone. I don't know. It's interesting. She's not nearly as catty, I guess, as she's made out to be in the musical. I'll say that much. I've heard some of you say stuff like she slapped Thomas Jefferson and when she was overseas, and I don't know where that comes from. That doesn't seem to be true, but that seems to be something that has circulated in the fandom, and that kind of shows how they look at her personality, being very catty, very rebellious, very in your face, I guess. And this is clearly an exaggerated version of what the real life Angelica could be, but there's a little bit of truth behind it. Not the slapping Thomas Jefferson thing. That seems to be made up in somebody's fan fiction. But there's a lot here, I guess. I like her exaggerated personality here because that's what musicals should do. They should exaggerate.
Freedom of seeing the light. It's Ben Franklin with the key and a kite. You see it, right? The conversation lasted 2 minutes, maybe 3 minutes. Everything we said in total was 3 minutes. And 3 minutes, a bit of a dance, a bit of a posture, it's a bit of a stance. He's a bit of a flirt, but I'ma give it a chance. I asked about his family. Did you see his answer? His hands started fidgeting. He looked askance. He's penniless. He's flying by the seat of his pants.
So they will flirt a lot, especially publicly, and that's not going to help Alexander going forward. People will latch on to these public appearances, not just with Angelica, but with Peggy as well. You should hear some of the stuff that John Adams has said about them. But he's one of the bad examples of like people starting rumors about him, but like everybody did because he made it so easy. It's kind of a theme in this whole musical. Burr is like, you you constantly create ammo for your enemies to use against you, and Alexander did, especially in this situation.
Handsome boy, does he know it? Peach fuzz, and he can't even grow it. I want to take him far away from this place, then I turn and see my sister's face, and she is so bland. I know she is so bland. And her eyes are just bland. And I realize three fundamental truths at the exact same time.
Where are you taking me?
I'm about to change your life.
Then by all means, lead the way.
And we've already talked about this. Angelica, it doesn't seem that Angelica, like, led Alexander over to her. This would be the third time I've talked about this, but it has to be said at least once during this video in case this is the first one you're seeing. It does not appear that Angelica is the one who got them together. There might have been go-betweens, but it doesn't seem that she was so directly involved in this sense. And Hamilton was probably set on pursuing Eliza that night anyway, because he'd met her already. And it just happened to click. I don't know. Obviously, there's only so much we can know. A lot of writings get lost from Eliza. A lot of Hamilton's writings get lost. Even though there's an abundance of writings from Hamilton, a lot of his stuff is also gone. So I don't know. Maybe there's stuff out there, but there's a lot to sift through, and I haven't seen all of it. Especially regarding his personal life. I'm more familiar with his political life.
Number one, I'm a girl in a world in which my only job is to marry rich. My father has no son, so I'm the one who has to social climb for what.
Okay, we're stretching the truth a little bit here. There was a son at this point. I believe he was younger than the three Schuyler sisters. I believe the first son died really young, but there is another one by this time. So they're stretching the truth a little bit in order to communicate a different idea about women's position at the time and how they could use marriage in order to improve status or whatever. This doesn't really speak specifically to Schuyler or Philip Schuyler, I'm saying, or I don't think anybody specific in general. This is kind of just making a very broad statement about women at the time. Philip Schuyler didn't really, and I can only judge so much about his character, but from what I know about him, he didn't seem interested in mooching off of his sons-in-law. He just seemed like he had too much pride for that. He was an American aristocrat. Like, you don't really want to be seen as a guy who's mooching off of his sons, even if you need it.
I'm the oldest and the wittiest and the gossip in New York City is and the city is.
Tis.
Alexander is penniless. That doesn't mean I want a many less. Elizabeth Schuyler, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Schuyler.
My sister. Number two. He's after me because I'm a Schuyler sister that elevates the status. I have to be naive to set that aside. Maybe that is why I introduced him to Eliza. Now that's his bride. Nice going, Angelica. He was right. He will never be satisfied.
And of course, we don't know Alexander's exact motivations. Maybe he and Eliza clicked just so perfectly, and she just happened to be from a family with great status. I'm not going to psychoanalyze him too much, because I find him a little bit difficult to grasp sometimes, and I feel like my opinion on him is constantly changing, because he is a rather difficult character to follow. But he's smart. He saw the benefits of joining a family like that. And if you say he didn't, you are being a little bit naive. So, yeah, I get that. And I think this is communicating. I think Angelica is a nice view into the role of women at the time, but I think Eliza's side would be a little bit more interesting. I think you see her constantly fretting over what's going on with Alexander throughout the musical, but there's so much in the position of a more ordinary wife, not the socialite type that Angelica is, but in who Eliza was. But it would be a little bit more mundane and perhaps not as good for a musical, but interesting for history nerds and stuff.
Thank you for all your service.
If it takes fighting a war for us to meet, it will have been worth it.
I'll leave you to
Boo.
it. I know my sister like I know my own mind. You will never find anyone as trusting or as kind. If I tell her that I love him, she'd be silently resigned. He'd be mine. She would say I'm fine. She'd be lying.
Trusting. I love the emphasis on how trusting she was, because she always trusted Angelica and even Peggy with Alexander, even when rumors were going on around them. She trusted Alexander when she goes off and he ends up having an affair. She trusts him. She takes his word first and always looks at his political enemies as the ones who are at fault. She is incredibly loyal. She'll always end up blaming somebody like James Monroe more than she would blame Alexander for what seemed to be his own actions. It's weird. It's weird, but it's kind of admirable, kind of enraging. Yeah, I'm sure you can probably get why.
But when I fantasize at night, it's Alexander's eyes as I romanticize what might have been if I hadn't sized him up so quickly.
You never had a chance. Just saying. It was never gonna happen.
At least I keep his eyes in my life.
Yeah, his pretty eyes. Oh. Oh, it's quiet. Okay. Taking some liberties here. I like it.
She'll be happy as his bride, and I know he will never be satisfied. I will never be satisfied.
Oof. That was kind of beautiful. And there's that little touch at the end where she is happy as his bride and he will never be satisfied. That really does speak to how their relationship will always be going forward. She seems to want something a little more simple than him, and he's always kind of giving her the idea that things will settle down eventually, but then he keeps moving forward, like him potentially stepping down from the treasury, but he sticks around longer and longer and longer. This sort of stuff just exists all throughout their relationship, and it's very, very sad for Eliza, because she really wants things to just relax, settle down, and he can't give that to her. Something in him just keeps aiming for more. His ambition is kind of disturbing sometimes. And it makes me really curious about the more mundane nature of his family life, which we don't get to know nearly as much about. His children go on to admire him, but I'm curious to what kind of father he was. Because that's something, I get little ideas, but that's something I would like to know a little bit more. I would love to be in the room when he's rarely in town or whatever, or have had the opportunity to ask his kids about what kind of a dad he was. It's very interesting. And now we have the formation of the Hamilton-Schuyler family, which will be really cool going forward. I'm very excited to get back into Act 2 and get more of the political stuff done, but we have some more songs to do in Act 1, and I will get around to them eventually. It should be fun. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like it, subscribe for more. I do videos every single day, and I will see you guys next time. Later.